Welcome to my first vegetable garden. Today I want to talk about what crops can take a frost, what crops you have to protect, and some basic ways you can protect them. So when frost is around 31, 32 degrees, you're like right on the edge, you can do very light protection. This is just plastic bags that I had laying around. Put them over my potato leaves. Last night we did get down to 32 degrees. And the leaves are perfectly fine. You're just putting some plastic, something light over this, keep some of the heat from the earth around the plants, keep the cold air from settling down. That will buy you a degree or two of protection. If you're getting into the 20s, like 29 degrees, 28 degrees, you're going to need something a little bit better than just laying plastic over this like I showed you. So we have garlic, onions, they can all take a frost. You don't have to worry about them. The general plants that you have to worry about are your warm weather crops, like tomatoes, peppers, if you had cucumbers, squash in, something like that. If those leaves just freeze a little bit, they get damaged. As we come over here, this is shade cloth, a little bit thicker, better coverage, and I have potatoes under there, and they did fine, no worries. If again that temperature is getting down to potentially 29 degrees, a heavier tarp like this is going to provide more protection. It kind of seals the whole area. You have the tarp down to the ground, no wind is blowing through there, except looks like it did blow away a little bit. So if it's a windy day, or it's going to be a windy night I should say, you should weight it down so that the cover doesn't blow up. But the potatoes under there are safe. Potato leaves are damaged by the frost. Potatoes themselves in the ground are safe. They're not going to be damaged by a frost. Let's go inside here. Other crops that can take a frost, you don't have to protect them. Kohlrabi, pak choi or bok choy, pea leaves can take a frost. Lettuce can take a frost. In fact, I have cool pictures in the fall, sometimes when the frost comes in harder, that these leaves freeze all the way through. You see frost patterns on them. They're perfectly fine once they thaw. Right in here is kale. Kale and collards can take a frost. Let's check these out. Here's some potatoes that I missed. Let's see how they look. No damage. Sometimes in a garden you have a microclimate. For instance, the Weather Channel said it's going to get to 38 degrees tonight, chance of frost. Well, in my area, it did get down to 32 degrees. Different pockets of your garden, depending on if they're by a downslope or if they're raised, may or may not get frost, even though the Weather Channel may say 38 degrees. Don't only go by that. It really varies across gardens up to 5 degrees, so it can make a really big difference. Here's a tarp that I just quickly threw over potatoes that were in a container. They're all good to go. More peas in here, I don't worry about them. I have broccoli back there, Swiss chard, beets, they can all take a frost. Now, I did put in, this is actually a potato leaf, a potato coming up from last year. I like using glass vases. I get these at thrift stores, Goodwill stores, etc., and get them for like $1 each. I just keep them around my garden, and I just put them over the tomato plants, completely protected, nice and warm, and I use them really all different sizes, different thicknesses. Even though the leaves are a little bit compressed in here, they're going to be perfectly fine. They will straighten out. If you can get something bigger, that's great. If, for instance, this leaf was pressing up against the glass right there and it froze, sometimes the tips of the leaves might be damaged. But this guy survived no issue. If you don't have plastic, or glass, I guess, there's another one. If you don't have the glass vases, is what I was trying to say, you can use a plastic pot. That will buy, oh, there's two in here, hold on. That will buy a couple degrees of protection. That tomato plant is perfectly fine. And you can see throughout the garden, I have different vases covering the warm weather crops. Even just tucking a plastic bag around this pepper plant provided enough protection. And I want to stress last time, or one more time for the last time, that 32 degrees, 31 degrees, sometimes the plants can manage okay. You don't need a lot of covering, but if you're getting to 29 degrees and below, you're going to really have to have good frost protection. Spinach, no worries about that. Carrots, no worries about frost. We have purple top turnips. They can handle a frost. Radish is over here. So if you look up cool weather crops, they can typically take a frost. Warm weather crops cannot, and that's what you want to decide whether or not you're going to protect them. You also have cabbage right in there. That's red acre cabbage. That can take a frost. Thanks so much for watching. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com, and don't chance potential frost damaging your warm weather crops. Even if it says on the weather channel it's going to be 37, 38 degrees, your temperatures can vary by really up to 5 degrees based on where your garden is located. Here's one more example. I have mixed crops in here. I have cool weather crops and I have warm weather crops, and that tends to happen as your cool crops are getting ready to harvest. I'm ready to really start moving in tomatoes and peppers, etc., into my garden. Sometimes you still get a frost. So while the peas, the lettuce, the onions can handle the frost, the pepper plants that I put in can't. So I like using these glass vases. Because this is glass, and today the temperatures can actually get up almost to 70 degrees, full sunny day, you want to make sure you take the glass off of these and don't let them sit on for the entire day, because it's possible that the sun really heats up the inside and the heat then can damage your plants. If you have a frost that's coming, don't chance it. Lightly cover the plants if you might hit 32 degrees. A little more heavier protection is needed if the temperatures are going to get into, the upper 20s. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck in your garden.